Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being here on this edition of the REI Hacker Podcast. So glad you guys could join us today. We've got a really cool guest. His name is Johnny Robinson. I got a chance to meet Johnny at an event I was at recently with the Owners Club, which is Jamil and Pace's event, their new mastermind. And Johnny was one of the presenters. So we got a chance to hang out a little bit, chop it up a little. But Johnny is the co-founder of the Home Service Academy. It's the largest house cleaning consulting company in the world with over 1,500 locations across US and Canada. Johnny's launched over 4 businesses. He's acquired 2, and he actually had an exit selling his one of his original companies called Orange Window Cleaning. His current portfolio does a combined $7 million in revenue, and he credits all of his success to hard work and dedication to his craft. Johnny, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, man. No, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, super pumped. Let's get into
Awesome.
it.
Yeah, we were just chatting a bit, and it's so funny when you hear about entrepreneurs. They're always in the weeds, putting out fires and doing things, marketing, sales, operations. And in this economy, in this new world of entrepreneurship, we spend a lot of our time doing social media, right? And getting the word out there. And we're lucky to have that mouthpiece, that megaphone to be able to get our messaging out there. How has being able to leverage social media affected your business?
I mean, we wouldn't be here without it. 100%, we would not be here without it. I mean, it's opened up so many doors and opportunities, just not only with collaborations and meeting cool people, like with Cody Sanchez, for example, we're one of her highest viewed videos. So being able to meet her and get on her channel and that's been awesome. And it's all just because I decided to open Twitter one day and start talking about how I was building a window cleaning business as this 21-year-old college student at the time. So it's been awesome, and it's been a slow grind on the other platforms, but if you can stick with it, compounds over time, just like anything else.
It does. It requires a lot of work, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people because they're not used to being in front of the camera. But you've done it extremely well. Like you're very personable, and you're good on camera, and you're creating some really amazing content, which I think is a testament, to the overall success of all of your multiple companies. Um, but it didn't start out that way, right? So you said 21-year-old kid. I mean, you're an adult at that point, but you're a college student, and somehow you got the entrepreneur hair up your butt and decided, okay, I'm going to go start a company. What was that journey like? Like, how did you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I come from a background, my family has no entrepreneurs in it. I thought you needed a business degree to start a business. And so I never even knew that you can just go and start a business. If one day you were like, "Hey, I want to start a business," you could just do that. That's the beauty of it. I didn't know that. And I was working as a lifeguard at a water park, and I wasn't even a wave pool lifeguard. I was a lazy river lifeguard. And it was just, walking back and forth on the hot concrete in 100-degree weather all summer, making $12 an hour. And I just was thinking, there's got to be a better way than this, right? And so I went to my friend Sergio, who's been my best friend since the 7th grade. He's still my business partner to this day. And we skipped class. We were going to different colleges at the time, and we skipped class. We went to the beach and we're hanging out talking about goals and ambitions and what we wanted to do after college. And he's telling me about how he just wants to, continue his civil engineering degree and go get his 70K a year base right out of college. I'm like, oh, that's cool, man. Well, I presented him this new information that I found out about. Hey, you don't need a degree to start a business. And I guess he thought you needed a degree too. So he's like, oh, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that either. But he still wasn't really into it. And then, I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I want to still start a business. So about a week later, after we had went to the beach, he calls me and he goes, dude, I just started watching Gary V. You should check him out. That business thing you're talking about, I say we do it, because he went a whole week interviewing for minimum wage jobs, McDonald's, Arby's turned him down, and he needed to make money. So he's like, let's start a business. We're like, okay, cool. So we went to the drawing board, and Sergio comes up with the idea of, hey, let's go stand at the gas station and clean car windows. And I tell him, there's just no way we're gonna make money doing that. What are we, really, you want to go stand at the gas station and clean car windows? But I Google window cleaning on the internet, and I've come to find out it's a big industry. People pay for it. Storefronts, commercial buildings, residential homes. anything with glass needs to be cleaned because it gets dirty and over and over again, and people pay for it. So we find out that this is, it could be a big business. And so we he put in $75, I put in $75, and we started J&S window cleaning. Johnny and Sergio window cleaning. We were 19 at the time. And we launched on June 17th, 2017. And um, the rest was history. We eventually rebranded to Orange Window Cleaning so we can rank higher, because we were in the city of Orange, and it also helps with Orange County. So rebranded Orange Window Cleaning, really focused on building our reputation and getting 5-star reviews. We started to learn how to hire employees. We started to learn how to market, sell. We started to learn how to set up the tech and the automations and the systems, and eventually scaled that business to about 65K a month consistently. Our best month was 70. That was 2022. Orange Window Cleaning now does over $1 million a year and is the #1 rated window cleaning company, and I believe largest in Orange County, because I mean we outrank Yelp. We're the #1 on the map pack still, but we sold that business in 2022, and because Home Service Academy was taking off like crazy, and so we sold it to one of our ex-employees, and was a current contractor for us. But as we grew that business, we kind of developed a system called, we call it like the remote cleaning method. So you might see people listening to this might see remote cleaning ads everywhere. We kind of coined that term. So we uh we started hiring contractors instead of employees, because in window cleaning you get heavily taxed on workers' comp, and you have to pay the payroll tax too, but workers' comp was just ridiculous. And so we weren't making as much profit as we'd like. So we switched to contractors, started tweeting about it. And then also at the time, my mom was a single mom driving Uber. So I don't say was a single mom. She raised me on her own, but single mom driving Uber full time. I'm talking 50, 60 hours a week. And, Orange Window Cleaning was doing great, but it wasn't producing enough cash flow because of a 50-50 partner. And it just wasn't producing enough to be like, here, mom, here's 5 grand a month. Here's 10 grand a month. Go retire. Don't work anymore. And that was a big goal of mine. So I go, what can I do? Well, I can definitely leverage my skill set because I had been running Orange Window Cleaning for 4.5 years, and I can make content about how I'm going to build this house cleaning business for my mom. I can call my shot, and I guarantee that will get followers because it's enticing content. I'm going to show everyone step by step how to do this remote cleaning thing, also while I retire my mom. And so we launched Mary and a Mop. My mom's name is Mary. Launched that business, and that business did 8 grand of revenue, 12 grand of revenue, excuse me, its first month, with 4 grand of profit, and then 20 grand of revenue the second month with 8 grand of profit. And my mom hasn't worked Uber since. Mary and a Mop's coming up on 3 years now that has been in business, and we got 2 locations, do about 35K a month in revenue, with half of that being profit. And then that's when we packaged everything together because everybody was asking us about how they can do this remote cleaning thing. And then we launched Home Service Academy.
Amazing story. That's so cool too that you got to work with your best friend so that you've known since you were a kid, and then you got to work with your mom too. And there are horror stories out there about don't do business with friends and family, right? What would you tell those people? Because it's worked out for you, and maybe there was some friends or family that you dropped off along the way, but these two worked out.
Yeah, I don't it's tough because I have stories where I've employed some of my friends, I've employed some of my family. Some of them have been great, some of them have been terrible. I still have great relationships with all of them, but I just set very clear expectations. Like, look, dude, I get we're family, but if I'm gonna just don't make me fire you. Here's the expectations, here's what to be expected, and I'm gonna treat you just like if you were a normal employee. And it's worked out well. But I will say, as far as partnerships go, a whole different story, right? I can't speak to a lot of other people's partnerships. I do hear a lot of horror stories too. Um, and I wish I had a better answer, but I just think I got lucky because me and Sergio are best friends, but we both have the same goals and ambitions. We both have the same level of work ethic. And then on top of that, the most important piece is we have complementary skill sets. I'm the extrovert sales guy. I'll go talk to people. He's the guy behind the scenes doing the operations, the management, all that stuff, all the boring stuff that I don't like to do. And to him, the stuff that I do is boring. So we work on completely different things. And so when you go into a partnership, you can divide and conquer. And the best partnerships you can get things done twice as fast. Ideally, that's the benefit of having a partner. So yeah, you give up 50% of your equity, but you move twice as fast. So that's the trade-off. And most people will have a disconnect in one of those lanes that I talked about where it's not the same level of work ethic, they're not aligned on their goals and ambitions, or they have the same skill set. And so all of those things will kind of mess up the partnership. And I think that's why Serge and I have worked so well, is because we kind of hit all three of those things.
Yeah. I think you were lucky in effect, but it's almost like people have said, you create your own luck, right? And it's you created your own luck by hanging out with somebody who you liked. You guys had something in common, you had similar interests, right? You grew up in the same area. So you already had things that were in line, but um, that conversation, that first conversation you guys had about business, like that was like the beginning of it all. Like right there and then you figured out that you had similar interests. And at first he was resistant to the whole business concept and then went away, did his own research, came back with Gary Vee sitting on his shoulder saying,
Hmm.
you can do this, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys
Yeah.
got infected with the entrepreneurial bug and did it and never turned back. I think it's an amazing story.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Another thing too is, when you go through the trenches with someone, I mean, we're both dead broke. We had, we put the last money we had in our bank accounts basically to go and do this window cleaning thing. And when you really start from the bottom with someone and you both stick it through, you build a bond. So there's also that factor as well.
Yeah. No, I think you're right about that. I always think about, these rom-com, movies where like there's some traumatic experience. I think about Speed. You ever seen the movie Speed? It's probably way before your time.
Speed, that's the
Um,
bus movie, right?
yeah, the bus movie,
Yeah.
right there.
They're trying to
So
stop
they're
the
like,
bus so you can't go like under 100 miles an hour or something, or blows up or something, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But ultimately, out of all these movies, there's always some romance that, blossoms, right? But friendships too,
Hmm.
right? And this is why a lot of people in the military are so close to each other because they go through like these really traumatic experiences, emotional experiences, and they form these strong bonds. And it's not a, completely tangential analogy, but in business too, right? Like my business partner and I, Scott, who's my partner in Privy, like we've been through, man, the ringer. We've been through ups and downs of the businesses and, the infighting of disagreements. Have you ever had anything with Sergio where you thought, oh man, this is the end. Like we're breaking up, we're moving on. Any disagreements like that you feel comfortable talking about?
Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't think I've ever publicly talked about it. I maybe mentioned it in some content, but I've done a lot of podcasts and I don't think I've ever told this story. But there was a time, so COVID hit and we were all excited. We were like, this is the year we're gonna do 200 grand in sales. We're gonna pop off and grow the company. And we're the first 3 months of the year are always slow just because of the rain, and then it starts to pick back up as spring comes in, and then summer is just extremely busy, and then you go into winter and you have Christmas light season, so that carries us through into the first 3 months of the new year. And so March rolls around, we're all excited, we're all pumped up. COVID hits, and it's raining for 2 weeks. We have all of our jobs that were packed on the calendar are all canceled because it's raining and it's locked down. You can't have people in your home. So combine those two things, we're scared shitless. Excuse my language. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, but scared. And, we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm thinking about quitting the business. Sergio's also thinking about quitting the business. And at the time, I was part of a foundation through college called the Hispanic 100. So I'm half Mexican, and I was able to get a scholarship to this thing called Hispanic 100, and everybody gets assigned a mentor. And I got this old, he's not that old, but a retired Seattle Seahawks offensive lineman. Guy's like 6'6". Guy's name is Dave, and he's like, quote unquote, you get assigned a mentor. And so I'd start talking to him about the business and stuff. He owned a company, and so he'd give me advice. And I called him like, hey, dude, I'm scared, man. I'm gonna quit the business. Like, I want to get a job. Are you hiring? He's like, dude, he's like, I want you to really sit down and think about it because you can really only quit once. Like, really think about it. And then right after that phone call, Sergio calls me and says, I'm out. And he graduated a year before me. I took an extra year in college. And so he goes, I'm going to get a job. Gets a job in like a week at a big public construction company for civil engineering. And so I'm left with, well, I still have a year of college. All I really got is the window cleaning business. So screw it. I'm doing the window cleaning business still. And so it was, you know, after about 2 weeks, COVID really sat in. My phone rings with a random 714 number, which is Orange County's area code. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen this happen in forever. This is a customer calling. So I call, hey, this is Johnny with Orange Window Cleaning. Hey, I need my windows cleaned, blah, 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 blah. Book it for like 250. And I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I go look on Yelp because it's where we spent a majority of our ads and we weren't advertising. Nobody was spending because you can see the public listings. And so I go, screw it. I'm just gonna crank up this ad spend. I hit $2,000. We've got like $500 in the bank account because we're trying to live and we don't have income coming in, still paying expenses. So crank $2,000 on the credit card and jobs just start pouring in and I'm closing them left and right. And I start recruiting the most ragtag team, whoever I can get, friends, family, whatever. And ended up getting that business from, I don't remember where we were stuck at. We had done 42,000 the year previous, but we got to about 12, 15K a month just by myself. And I started to see the bank account climb and climb and climb and climb. And as I'm doing this, I'm still a great relationship with Sergio, and I'm talking to him every day. And he's talking about how, I could wake up at 4 in the morning. I'm falling asleep at work. I hate this. And then he's just hearing me, dude, we're crushing it. I got 10 grand in the account. Like a month later, we've got 10 grand in the account. Never seen that much money in the business bank account because we did 5K, 10K, 42, and then ended up doing 200 in 2020, 205. But it's the first time we really started to see that bank account start to build. And so I'm telling them about all this. And, after about 2 months of him working at that construction company, he calls me. He's like, hey, man, I want to come back. And I'm like, please come back, bro. Just please come back. Like, I can't
You
do
didn't
this
even
on
play
my
hard
own.
to get at all. Like you were just like, no, please.
I did. I was like, well, I don't want you to quit again. So you're gonna have to earn your equity back. But then I just was like, forget it. Just have your 50% back. So
Yeah.
that's what ended up that's ended up happening. And yeah, it's been good ever since. But that was probably the only time. That was really early on.
Yeah. And then not even look at that like that was any sort of like huge disagreement where you guys just fundamentally disagreed on what was happening. That was just like a sign of the times. You're
Yeah.
one of tens of thousands of companies that were considering closing their doors during COVID. But you had faith and maybe you saw an opportunity there because there was nobody else running ads and you doubled down
Mhm.
on the ad running. I mean, what if you hadn't done that? What if you had just, sort of just kind of went along with the way that you were bringing leads in normally? Do you think you would have succeeded?
No, no, because the ads is a cheat code. Because what we would do is we would get the customer and then we would get the review. And then we would call that customer every 3 months to get them back on the calendar to increase the lifetime value. And so I knew, like, if we just, I didn't know at the time, but now I know looking back, I naively did this or unknowingly did this, was I'm just going to spend and I know that I'll get more reviews and I'll eventually have a really good organic reputation. So then we won't have to spend as much on ads in the future.
Nice. So this is part of that system you built, right? So putting on a systematic approach, you realized the value of those third party testimonials from customers and authentic ones, right? Because
Mhm.
there's fake ones out there too, right? Like people know how valuable they are. That's why they fake them. But
Right.
is that part of the system in the Home Service Academy is leveraging and really making sure that you provide really good service so that you get those testimonials in the back end?
Yeah, I mean, when you really break down home service businesses, that's really what it comes down to is, your product is your employees or your contractors or the people you're sending inside those customers' homes. And so in order for you to do a good job, you need to be a good recruiter and you need to be good at setting expectations because if you just do good at hiring, well, now you have a great product because your product is the cleaners, if using house cleaning as an example. And so if you know that and you send good cleaners to these people's houses, you're going to get a good review at a way higher clip than if you're sending mediocre cleaners or crappy cleaners. And so if
Right.
you could do that, you'll crush most people in your market because house cleaning is still home service in general, not just house cleaning, is just in the stone age when it comes to marketing and caring about this stuff. Nobody's doing it. I always say,
Mhm.
like, Benson, go. What city are you in?
Denver.
Denver? Yeah, call 10 house cleaners in your area and 8 of them won't pick up their phone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like that everywhere. It just I don't nobody gets with the times in this business.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, especially for like a lot of those companies, the ones that own the company are the ones that are also cleaning. So that's probably why they didn't pick up the phone because they had their rubber gloves on and they were in somebody's shower scrubbing. So they couldn't pick up
And
the
I get
phone.
it too. I get that side of it too because when we were cleaning windows, we were running ads and me and Sergio were in the field cleaning the windows ourselves. I'd actually get pissed off because my phone wouldn't stop ringing. And most people would love to have that problem, but I was getting pissed off because I'm trying to clean the windows and then I'm huffing and puffing answering the third phone call in a row, having to stop the job to go answer the phone. So I get it, but
Right. Have you guys ever leveraged virtual assistants or virtual help in managing that income, those incoming calls or any other part of the business?
yeah, it's a big component actually of what we teach because once you get to around 20, 30K a month and the business can pay for the VA itself. I'm big on Philippines, Pakistan, Mexico. We recruit a lot of talent from those countries who will answer the phone calls, who will eventually hire the cleaners, deal with the customer complaints, call to book, rebook customers and reactivate customers for recurring jobs. And so you can basically get VAs to run the whole business so that you're just kicking back, making sure that they're doing what they need to do, and then maybe turning some dials on the marketing or hiring a second VA to, start to split up
Yeah.
some more roles.
Or creating
Absolutely.
content.
We're creating content. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've got Catherine, our virtual assistant, Home Service Academy. I don't even like to call, she's just a teammate she's on the content team. She's amazing. And, she makes these really cool story posts for our Instagram in Canva, and she's great.
Yeah. And so many people don't understand the value that a virtual assistant can bring because they think, oh, you get what you pay for. But it's just they just happen to be in a different part of the country where the cost of living is lower. But I've got two full-time VAs, and then I've got virtual assistants who help me with content creation too. That's completely separate. And man, they do such great work. And as long as you put, like you said, set the expectations properly, that's like the number one thing. Give them good systems, document those processes, give them good SOPs and what to do, and also give them a little bit of freedom too to to problem solve. Like you get some really quality people that out there that have bachelor's degrees or master's degrees for you know $12 an hour.
Yeah, most of the time too, because we work with a lot of first-time business owners, and so a lot of people will come in and think, "Oh, I'm going to hire this VA," and it's the magic bullet to unlock in the next level of growth, and you still have to, like you said, you still have to build the systems, the processes, you still have to manage, you still have to give feedback, you still have to trust and verify their work. And most people can't do the boring stuff. Most people don't want to do the boring stuff of doing
Right.
that. And so they just expect them to be the magic bullet when, whether you hire in the US or you hire outside of the US, you still got to do all the intangibles, you can't not do that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's no different. There's still people, like you said, they're just in a different part of the country. And, it just so happens the US dollar is way stronger in places like the Philippines, places like Pakistan, Mexico. So you can still get just as quality of talent, but for one third the cost.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So let's break down Home Service Academy. So you basically got this idea because you helped mom um marrying a mop.
Hmm.
You created a system by helping your mom to build this business. And then you're like, okay, we can duplicate this, right? And then license out these business models to other people that want to launch their own home service companies. And then that was the birth of Home Service Academy. What made you want to go out and create that part? Because you could have just, and maybe I'm not understanding it fully, but it could have been just like like a normally like franchisee sort of licensee relationship. But
Hmm.
you went the education angle as well, right?
Right. Yeah. So the biggest thing for me was keep in mind I was tweeting about this window cleaning thing I was doing. And
Mhm.
people were asking me, "Hey, can you teach me how to do it? Can you teach me how to do it?" And I'd always say no because, orange window cleaning is my main thing. I don't want to detract focus. And but then I realized I was like, this is just, the market telling me there's demand for this. So problem with it is though is I wasn't confident in teaching people how to do window cleaning with contractors because I thought that Orange County was an anomaly as far as contractors go because there's 3.2 million people and you need specialized equipment, you need water fed poles, deionized water tanks, ladders, a truck to be able to clean a lot of properties and window cleaning. And so I was like, well, it's only going to work in some markets. And I've got people reaching out from smaller markets. And I know for a fact house cleaning would work, but I didn't have any authority in house cleaning because I'd never done it. I built a window cleaning business, not a house cleaning business. So I figured knock out two birds with one stone. I'll build my authority and my following in house cleaning and retire my mom. And so once I did that, there was even more inbound demand of how do I do it? 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 So, and then it just coincidentally, I got recommended to read $100 million offers by Alex Ramosi and read his whole story about gym launch. I'm like, this is literally just clean launch, right? Like, let's call it clean
Clean
launch.
launch.
So that's kind of how it was born. And we went through that book and launched Home Service Academy on January 1st, 2022, and we signed up 15 people in 2 weeks. And then for those first 3 months, we didn't sell anybody else into it. We just made sure we could get results for the first 15. And then once we did that, we crushed it with them, we knew we had something. And then we deployed all that. We essentially used the first 15 people that paid. We didn't touch that money. And then as soon as we knew we could get results, we deployed that money right back into Home Service Academy, to hire videographers, to hire a media buyer, eventually, more education, like more courses for us on how to build sales teams, and join some masterminds so I can learn from people in the space,
Mm,
and really scaled up Home Service Academy. And then we took Home Service Academy from 0 to 2.8 million in 9 months.
that's amazing. So you took those first 15 people to get proof of concept. How long did that take for you to really get to the point where you're like, okay, these people are successful. Now we feel comfortable going to the next level.
So that was January through the end of March. So it was 90 days basically.
That's pretty quick.
Mm,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then so you dump that money you said into ca- uh camera people. What
Yeah,
were they?
hired a videographer because our,
Videographer.
our main channel for customer acquisition was Twitter. People were consuming my content on Twitter. And so I figured, well, if they like it on Twitter, they'll like it on TikTok, they'll like it on Instagram, and they'll like it on YouTube. So we hired a videographer so we could film shorts and long form. And I had that was my only thought process behind it. I didn't join like a course or anything. It was just, let's open up other acquisition channels. And I know there's already demand on Twitter, so let's open up these other ones. And we just started making content. And so we did that, and we said, okay, well, now we got the content. What would really help the content is also running paid at the same time, because naturally people who opt in from paid might not want to buy now, but if we nurture them with our content, then they'll come back at a later time. And that's kind of exactly
Mhm.
what happened. And so we kind of set it up to be that way, where, we had paid and organic running at the same time, helped to drive CAC, our customer acquisition costs lower as well. And that's, yeah, media buyer, hired appointment setters and AE or closers, and then started building out the coaching department too. So now all of our coaches, there's a podcast we have actually on our YouTube where we interview all the coaches, and they're all badass, all built and sold cleaning companies. Yeah, super cool. So
That's
to answer your
awesome.
question,
Yeah, it does. Tell me about the content itself. Y- There's so many different directions you can go with content, right? You can just kind of do where you're filming you doing the thing, right? And then it's like here's us doing the thing, and you could speed it up and do some voiceovers and B-rolls and some things like that. Or do you do any sort of like any comedic sort of things in there, like ads or commercials? Like what was the content about?
we've tested so much. We've probably put out over 3 or 4 thousand pieces of content at this point, maybe more. Like I know it's 800 on YouTube alone. So, and TikTok, we were posting at 1.3 times a day. So we've tested a lot of stuff. I've tested the B-roll with the captions. I've tested just normal talking head, Alex Ramosi style with the captions. We've tested vlogs. I mean, you name it, we've tried it. And that's really what it comes down to. I really think that we're starting to crack content, because we've just done it for so long. And like our YouTube, like for example, we have a video right now that's blowing up. It's at 60,000 views, and it's gaining about 5,000 views a day, and it's not stopping. So, and this is the biggest one we've had, and it's taken us almost 3 years. And it's because we're constantly researching, we're constantly testing, and we finally found a formula for a video that works. And so the idea is, once you do that, you repeat it until that dries up, and then you find a new angle. But you're constantly looking at the market and other people in your niche, and seeing what's working and seeing what spin you can take on that. And so a good example of us doing that is, people were loving street interviews, and you see street interviews all the time. And so we're like, okay, how can we capitalize on street interviews but put our own twist on it? And so what we did was we came up with this idea, and this was like a little side quest we did, but I've never told this story either. What we did was um, we would take a picture of a person. We say, "Hey, can I take a picture of you?" Or we would ask them how much money they make. So I go, "Benson, how much money do you make?" "Ah, I make 100 grand a year." "Cool. Mind if I take a picture of you and show the next person?" They'd say yes. We take a picture of them, and we would go up to the next person. We'd say, "How much money do you think this person makes?" And they'd have to guess. And so they would guess. They'd say, "Oh, I think 50K." And it's like, "Oh, actually, they make 100K." And but we'd say, "What made you say 50?" And then you would always get a good reaction because the person would start to roast the other person on the that I was showing. And we ended up doing probably, I want to say 30 or 40 of those in a month. And we got 40 million views in 30 days off of that series. And just because we thought, okay, this is working, let's put our own spin on it. Now, it didn't do anything for the business because it was purely entertainment and comedic,
Right.
but it was still fun because it was, the lesson there is like, take what's working and put your spin on it.
Hmm. Did you ever try to work that backward into the business somehow? Did you like show a little ad or like this video sponsored by Orange, or how did you get it back into the business, or did you not at all?
We didn't at the time. No, we didn't at all. And we just were thinking, okay, well, if we get all these views, maybe they'll look at our other content and they'll opt in. That didn't happen.
I didn't.
But to
Okay.
your point, like it was definitely worth a shot to, throw in an ad or something. But yeah, that was like lightning in a bottle.
Oh yeah. Did you ever figure out a way to do a new version of, the street interview or something like it that was tied more to the business that would bring in actual leads?
Yeah, so what's working really well right now is we make a lot of niche educational cleaning content. And that gets decent views. Maybe one like an average like good video will do 1 to 2K. When we drop like a full course video, like a free course, those will do 4 to 10K.
Hmm.
But now this one that's climbing to 60K, and I think it'll probably hit 100 or so at least. What's working is people like to look up business ideas, and people are constantly interested in side hustles and how can I make money on the side? How can I start my own business? And a lot of people don't know what to start. And we've seen a lot of listicle videos crushing. Here's the top 5 businesses to start if you're this type of person. Here's the top 10 low cost service businesses you can start. And so we're like, okay, these listicles are really doing good. Let's do our own version with home service businesses that you can start on a low budget, and let's slip house cleaning in there. And it just has crushed it for us.
Mm, I love it. Did you call it listicles?
Listicles, yeah. Like a listicle video where you just like, here's 10
It's just
ideas
lists.
for
I've never
list.
heard that term before, but now I understand it with the context.
Mm-hmm.
Listicle. Very cool. So the whole content part of your business is like that sounds like that's the majority of what you spend your time on, because it sounds like the rest of it kind of runs on its own. You got your VAs doing a bunch of the things, they're taking the calls, they're doing the marketing.
Well, we have
Um,
actually all of our, we only have one VA. We have about 20 or so full-time employees, and we have one overseas, but everybody's US based.
okay.
Um, but no, I'm still heavily involved. I mean, HS like Home Service Academy is a full-time focus. I would say content is like the side thing, but content feeds Home Service Academy. So we build the content
Mhm.
around Home Service Academy, and we still have the managers that need to be managed, and we still, it's still a very lean team. So I'm very much involved, and I try to actually do content, once or twice a month, because it does take away from the day to day. And I'm a business guy first, a content guy second.
Yeah.
And now it's funny you bring that up because Sergio and I are talking about, hey, like one of us just needs to be the full-time guy that's managing everything, and one person needs to do content. And so we're kind of talking about who wants to do what, and I'm leaning towards doing the content because it got started off my Twitter, so it's like I've always
Yeah.
enjoyed doing it, but
Well, it fits
still
with what
heavily
you guys
involved.
already have kind of figured out anyway, where he's the operations person, you're the marketing
Mhm.
person, right? So it wouldn't be much different than the roles you've already previously established and all sort of both good at.
Right, 100%. Yeah. The way we do it right now, though, is like I manage the sales team. I don't manage the sales team, but I manage the manager that manages the sales team. And so I'm heavily involved still in just like systems and process around that.
Hmm.
Just because I built that team brick by brick. So, I'm heavily involved, but that's kind of a conversation we're having. It's like, hey, just take over. And the
Yeah.
guy we have overseeing the team is really good. He doesn't really need to be managed anyway. So
what are some of the new content ideas that you have bubbling around in your brain and something that might be interesting or might be cool to emulate? Because I see stuff on TikTok, like there's this guy who goes around and he's landscaper and he'll film
Mike
himself.
Andes.
It might be, but it's like this like fast stuff. He's out there with his trimmers and he goes to random people's houses. He says, "Can can I clean up your lawn? Can I clean this up for you?" And he goes in, and I always love like when he does the edges
Mhm.
and he chops them up and then he goes back and he scrapes the dirt, and it's like soothing and meditating for me to watch. Um, have you thought about anything like that where you're out there kind of cleaning people's stuff, or I don't know, what are your ideas?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna test our next batch of content that's gonna come out on Instagram is gonna be like that. It's gonna be a lot of kind of like there's gonna be a comedy factor in it where me and Sergio were
Mhm.
sitting there actually doing cleaning, a little bit more skit based stuff. So we're gonna test a lot of that with cleaning houses actually physically. So getting a lot
Mhm.
of B-roll of that stuff, scrubbing toilets. Um, but as far as content ideas go, I would like to be a lot more hands-on with just in-person stuff with other entrepreneurs in the home service space. So like Mike Andes, I thought is who you're talking about, but we had him on the podcast. He runs a company called Augusta Lawn Care, and his content's just really, really good. And what he'll do is he'll go to random landscaping businesses that reach out to him, and they'll be like, I do $1 million a year, but I make no profit, and I don't know how I'm gonna pay my bills next month, and he'll come in person to their office, sit down with the owners, and it's like a 40-minute long video of him just breaking down the numbers and giving free consulting. And you learn a lot, even as just a business owner, watching these videos. And so I think stuff like that's pretty fascinating. I don't see a lot of people doing the business turnaround stuff, which I think could crush it.
Yeah. I got two ideas. They just popped in my head. You can take them or you
I
pull
have
them.
another one. I have another one. I'm wondering if you're thinking of it. And another one too is like a 30-day challenge where I build my own remote cleaning business from scratch and document it.
Okay.
That's one that we've had in the pipeline for a long time, but it's just going to take so much work because at the end of the day, it is a whole business, right? You're starting a new
Yeah.
business, and so you're taking focus away from HSA. So that's kind of the why we haven't done it yet.
I'm almost thinking like a home makeover, like hidden camera scenario where you get an insider from a person, like somebody like an elderly person or somebody who's like a single mom. They just don't have time to clean. They're always just out providing. Like, there's like a good story, right? Why their house isn't clean. But you have an insider, like a husband or a wife or like a sibling who is like gets them out of the house for 3 hours, right? It takes them on a trip or it takes them to lunch and they come back and it's like you guys are in there cleaning, make it all nice, but you're filming it all, right? And they come back and their house is spotless. And then you get to see their reaction when they walk in the house and they're like, oh my God, look how clean this place is. I think that'd be a great idea.
I think I love that idea. I just don't know how well it would translate into because you got to think too. Like I think about content in terms of okay, what is going to create engagement, but also what is going to convert into leads. How are we going to
Mhm.
convert this into leads? And don't get me wrong, I love giving value out and stuff, but the value stuff is very niche. I mean, we talk about remote house cleaning, like we've essentially created a market in a way because nobody did it before we did it.
Right.
So it's like how do you combine the views plus the conversion and the engagement into or the conversion into leads for people who are potentially interested in actually starting a cleaning business.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think something like this though is people just love the giving back thing and the like
Yeah.
the go giver angle.
Hmm.
And then my other one was like more of like a spiff on that, where like you guys are in there cleaning someone's house and someone comes home, they're like, "What the hell are you doing in our house?" And you're like, "Oh, we're just in here cleaning." And it's like a total home invasion thing, and they chase you out, but you're just like breaking into people's houses and cleaning them as like a total like spoof.
I
Like,
like it. I mean, we can test it for sure in the next
get
batch.
out of my house. What are you doing here? Like, we're cleaning your house for you. But anyway, um, I wish I was better at the content creation part of it. I've been just doing a lot of like podcasts and chopping those up but it's like the very intentional videos that are like on a specific topic, right? Outside of my studio, out and about doing things. That's what my team has been encouraging me to do. It's just hard for me to do it. It's just
Yeah. It's
difficult.
tough, man. It's tough. I mean, I've done it, like I said, done it for coming up on 3 years now. And there's a lot of days where like I got to go shoot 6 YouTube videos right after this podcast. I don't want to go shoot 6 YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It's on a Friday night, but we got to get it done. And it's something where if you just stick with it, you'll get better, right? You'll be more
Mhm.
comfortable on camera. You'll sound better. You'll be able to enunciate better. Um, I just think a lot of people quit because it's like working out. It's like working out, but kind of harder than working out because with the gym, if you eat right, you can see results pretty quickly in about 6 to 8 weeks. With content, you can post every day for 6 to 8 weeks and be stuck at sub 100 views and not have any types of, you know, reward for posting that content. And most people can't get past that part. It's why people who post podcasts, 99% of podcasts don't get past the 20th episode.
Mm.
It's an actual stat. It's 99% don't get
So
past the
I'm in
20th
the
episode.
1%.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's good to know.
So when Sergio and I started our podcast, which we'll definitely have you on, Benson. Our whole goal at the beginning was forget the views, forget engagement. We do not care. Let's just get to 20 episodes. And what do you know? After 20 episodes, people are starting to listen to the podcast. We're starting to see downloads go up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think
That's
the lesson
cool.
there is just keep going.
It is. I mean, let's just keep going too. Like you need big goals, you need big aspirations. What's driving you on a daily basis to get to that thing, right? Whatever it is that's driving you to accomplish things that others aren't. There's just it's so easy just to fall into like being comfortable and just watching football on the weekends or during the week and you're not going to the gym, sleeping in, like all that stuff is so easy.
I will
And
say I love watching football on the weekends, though, man.
there
Go
you go.
Cowboys.
Nice. Um, so tell me for the home service academy, right? Because I just think it's an amazing concept. I like the way you guys structured it, and you've got a proven model. So people are out there looking for these different businesses they can get in, right? They're figuring out what their hustle is. Why should they choose, like a home service based business rather than something else?
That's a good question. So I always tell people why I think remote cleaning or house cleaning with contractors the way we teach is the best business you can start is because and there's pros and cons, right? Cons is it's not gonna the earning potential in other business models, like you can make money doing anything, right? There's some business models that are gonna be easier to start at the beginning, and they're gonna be a lot more profitable at the beginning. But the benefit to remote cleaning is it's one of the only business models that I see out there that actually starts with a degree of leverage where you're not the one doing the service that you provide because you start with contractors. So you're leveraging a team from the beginning, which teaches you skills, teaches you management, teaches you leadership, and it teaches you how to actually hire and onboard someone. On the flip side, you'll learn how to market, you'll learn how to sell, and you'll learn all the tech and operations behind how to manage crews, optimize the routes, and be able to run the business without actually providing the task from the start. And so I always tell people it's the only business not the only, but one of the very few I see where you start with a degree of leverage and you learn all the core skills of entrepreneurship in sales, marketing, hiring, leadership. Not only that, but because of the leverage point, well, people are automatically going to start buying your services because of the brand you build, not because of you, the owner, which creates more sellable enterprise, right? Especially if you can show consistent cash flows over, the last 12 months you've been in business. And so when you combine all those things, you get decent enterprise value, you learn all the core skills, and it's in an industry that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
I love it. So there's definitely lots of pros. What are the cons?
It's a recruiting business. So you're managing a lot of kind of low level labor. And I don't say low level in like I don't want to degrade anyone for what they do, but you've got to think about anybody can go to the store, get cleaning supplies, and go say, I'm a house cleaner. And so as a cleaning business owner, your job is to constantly be hot. You're always hiring because you don't want to be in the position where a cleaner calls out and doesn't show up, or a cleaner starts, uh, showing up late. They start asking you for more money. They start being picky with the jobs they want to take. You want to have a bench just like a football team to be able to plug in at all times so you
Mm,
can sub cleaners in and out because it's a high churn business. You're always churning through staff. And so that's the hard part because hiring for most people is a very boring and grueling thing, myself included. I hate going through hiring processes. You're sitting there interviewing people, you're asking the same questions because you need to build a process around it and ask people the same questions. And to do it with cleaners is very difficult. And so most people don't know how to set up a hiring funnel, and that is the challenge. But if you can do
Mhm.
that, you'll outcompete anyone in your local market because that's everyone's bottleneck. There could be a $10 million, $20 million year residential house cleaning business here in Las Vegas right now, but there isn't because nobody knows how to staff properly.
Mm.
And that's the bottleneck. So if you can staff properly, you will win.
I hear that. And if that's just one of the only cons for me running Home Service Academy, that's the first thing that I white glove is the hiring and creating the funnel of labor right on the back end as part of like what you get when you buy in. And maybe it's even a second tier offering. Like you got the lower tier, which is they do it all. You
Well,
just
that's
give
what
them
we
the
do.
package, the
We
business in
do
a
do that.
box. Oh, you
Yeah.
do? Okay.
Yeah,
So you
yeah, we
do
do
help
that.
them
Mhm.
with the hiring and everything else. You got people who are doing that and you could just feed them contractors.
Right, right, 100%. We don't have people actively doing it, but we have all of the onboarding process, the job posting templates, the interview questions, the expectations, the contracts you need to sign, how to do a test clean, like end to end.
Yeah,
On basically like you use this job posting, you ask these questions, you look for these things, and you should be good to go. And you set these expectations.
got it. Yeah, so
And
it
you
is
work
still
one on
like a
one with a coach, so they're helping you out throughout this whole process too. But
right.
as far as cons go, though, it is that is I would say the main con for
Hmm.
house cleaning.
Yeah. But as far as cons go, it's kind of a low level con. There's, one of the biggest cons or obstacles for most people who are starting businesses is the financial investment to get it off the ground. And you and Sergio did yours for the first time for 75 bucks a piece. And that, maybe you don't want to get into numbers right now, but it seems like it's affordable enough to where basically anybody can get in and start with very little money out of their own pocket.
Yeah, I mean, you need about $300 to $500 to start one of these businesses. You have, your software, which is Booking Qualla for $57 a month. You have Open Phone, which is your phone system. You don't want to be throwing your personal number out on your advertising. That's $25 a month. And then you have your insurance for your cleaners, which is $60 to $80 a month. And the cost of filing LLC. And then, your email and domain plus QuickBooks for 15 bucks. And then $200 to $300 of a marketing budget. And you're in business. And you hire
You're off
one
and running.
cleaner. One cleaner can produce you 10 grand in revenue and about 3 to 4 grand of profit. And you're off to the races. That's it.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can see anybody could do this. And you were talking about some of the benefits is the high leverage to start, and people can come in and they get all these business skills, right? Really early on, but a lot of people come with those skills. They already know how to manage people. They've come from, corporate America and they've got, operations and they've got all these kind of skills in their toolbox. And they could hit the ground running with this really simply, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I always tell people like they'll likely come with one or two, but we can help
Hmm.
out with the other skills. So
Yeah,
whatever you're good at, there's going to be an area in the business for you to exceed in that, to excel in that. But, if you're not good at marketing, we'll help you with marketing. If you're not good at sales, we'll help you with sales. Same thing for hiring, same thing for ops.
that's awesome, man. Such a great story, Johnny. I mean, you guys are doing amazing work out there. If anybody wants to learn more about the Home Service Academy or talk to you or Sergio or somebody from the team, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so you can go to homeserviceacademy.co. So there's no com, it's just homeserviceacademy.co. And when you click on that, you'll get access to a free course. It's called the remote cleaning mini launch kit or the mini remote cleaning launch kit. And it's basically everything, all the tools you need to actually launch the business. And so it's free. Go to the website and you can check that out. And then if you want to follow me, it's Johnny and Sergio. Johnny and Sergio. It's just very simple on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And then my Twitter or X now is Squeegee God.
I like that one. Squeegee God.
Yeah,
Awesome, man.
I got lucky with that one. But
Yeah. Well, Johnny, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It was very insightful, inspiring. So thanks for sharing your story. Really appreciate it.
yeah, Benson, this was awesome, man. You asked a great question. So this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you having me on.
You got it, man. It's my pleasure. And for those of you listening, thank you for listening to this edition of the REI Hacker Podcast. Keep an eye out for future episodes where we have awesome guests just like Johnny talking about business, real estate, entrepreneurship, real estate investing, all kinds of really cool topics to help you get going, to help you reach your financial goals. So please like and follow, and we'll see you guys next time.
That's a wrap on today's Real Estate Revelations. Thank you for tuning into the REI Hacker Podcast. Remember, every property has a story, and every deal is a lesson. Until next time, keep hacking the real estate world.